¿Cómo se dice mariposa en inglés? You say lift or elevator. ¿Seguro? Of course, you see. Both go floor to floor. Para fiestas y posadas. Welcome. Today I will be speaking to you about arte, art, and where this term derived and a few little grammatical aspects. So we have arte. Arte came to be into the Spanish language around this time, so early 12th century, 1140, according to Corominas. I do recommend the work of Corominas if you're interested in etymology, origins of words in the Spanish language, etc. Now, arte comes from Latin, it comes from artis. Whenever we have an I, and it's a short Latin I, and it's not stressed, many times it becomes an E. So artis will become arte. The final consonant, usually an S, will drop, as you can see here. Now, this is simply a vowel lowering, so if you remember the vocalic triangle, right, tongue, I, E, so I, E, A, O, U. So this sound lowers to this one right over here. So very common occurrence in the Spanish language when it was going from Latin to Romance to Spanish, right? But now I have the following question, and this is something that I have not been able to find and nobody has been able to answer logically. My question is, in Spanish, many times, and this is usually in the realm of arts for some reason, whenever we're talking about art, instead of using, and I left the plurals, let's go singulars. Instead of using feminine forms, people will use masculine forms. So a lot of people in books, things will be published in that field as arte moderno, arte hispano, arte contemporáneo. And I've wondered why, but if I try searching or looking up, for example, why feminine terms instead of masculine terms, then a bunch of random things that have nothing to do with my question will pop up, such as are male figures predominant in art or female figures? It has nothing to do with grammatical gender, but oh well, I get absolutely nothing. Well, I've also asked a few people, and the sort of interesting and funny, makes me chuckle, I'll be honest, response that I get, oh well, you use the masculine because arte is a masculine form. My response is, no, it's not. It's feminine. This is grammatically feminine. And I'll say, well, no, it's masculine. That is why it's el, because el is masculine. No, it's not. And this is how I know these individuals didn't go to school. And if they did not pay attention, because this is feminine. Now, hold on. For those of you who are thinking, wait, isn't el masculine, like el mapa, el niño, el hombre? Yes, but that's a different article. They sound the same, they're pronounced the same, they're spelt the same, but they both come from different origins. So for example, if we take the masculine el comes from elle. Think of illis in Latin, right? Now we have elle, that's where that one comes from. This one does not. This one comes from ella. But what happens is with the masculine, elle, right? The final E assimilates to the L. Now, it's very easy to understand why E's assimilate to the L when they're in proximity to L's. And let me go ahead and draw this real quick. So these are your incisors, that's the uvula, velar region, palatal region, and an approximation of the vocalic triangle. We have I, E, A, O, U. These sounds don't matter, it's these front three that we're concerned. Well, let's look in L. Where's an L? L is over here. Which sound is closer? Well, that one's a lot closer to L than this one. Guess which of the two vowels is probably going to assimilate to the L? That one. So if we look at a word such as alpaca, el alpaca, which one will probably assimilate? That one. So el alpaca, alpaca. Now, if your question is, wait, why does this happen here but not over here? Why do we drop the A? It's very simple. The stress is over here, therefore neither one of these is stressed. Well, this was not stressed. This one was. Versus over here, the stress is in the beginning. Because this begins with the sound a and it's stressed, this sound will assimilate, blend, drop, however you want to describe it, because of the stressed a, which is why el arte, el arte, this ends up dropping. So instead of this assimilating to the L, because of this here, this will end up dropping. And that is what happens. So that's where it comes from. So this is actually the feminine, this is feminine, but for some reason people use the masculine. And this is a sincere question. Why is this? Maybe it's because, Spaniards made a mistake again in the Castilian language. They do quite often. And then somebody changes a rule so it's no longer grammatically incorrect. Go figure. And, I'll be joking and picking on different people. If I make a critique or pick on somebody, it's because I care. So keep that in mind. I'll be picking on a variety of other linguistics aspect from other places in future videos as well. But the thing is, we have feminine, and then masculine. So grammatically, this does not agree. So my question is, was there usually a term here, a masculine term grammatically, described by this, but then we dropped that term? That's the only thing that can potentially make sense. But I have found nothing, and nobody can give me a logical reason. The only reason that I've heard is, this is masculine because this is masculine because it's el. But it's not masculine, and this article is actually the feminine. It's a variant of la. Right? Not stress, so we keep la. But those come from the same origin. So in reality, feminine articles in the singular would be la and then el whenever a word starts with a stressed a. There's two exceptions, and that's the letter A and then the letter H. So H. Those are still la. Those are exceptions. But the other words, common words, this is the way it works grammatically. Therefore, I don't know why many people use the masculine. Like I said, I have seen it in textbooks, for example. If this is the feminine, and that's the feminine. And it's usually individuals in that environment. So maybe they studied a different type of art, not language arts. I'm joking, I'm kidding. But in the comments below, if you know the actual reason, please let me know. Unless that reason is because people are making a mistake thinking that this is masculine because of the article, not realizing this is feminine. But if you go into the Spanish Royal Academy and look it up, Spanish Royal Academy will say that this is a feminine article that comes from this, not this or that. That would be the masculine. So, there you go. This being said, I'm going to make a comment and then I'll recap. Until somebody can explain this to me logically, I am going to continue regularizing everything, making everything feminine. So, el arte moderna, el arte hispana, el arte hermosa, right? If you have traveled to Mexico, or if you have not traveled to Mexico, there's a beautiful, beautiful place called Palacio de Bellas Artes. It's all feminine. Why? Because the people that named it went to school. And it's also plural. Oh, that's something I should cover. Let's look at the plural. And then I'll recap. Well, let's apply the same rule. And we no longer need this one. Well, it's quite simple. That drops. Why? Because this letter usually assimilates to L a lot easier because they're in close proximity as opposed to A. Alright, so why doesn't this one drop again, the ending? Well, because now you have an S. So the S breaks up that assimilation or that blending of those two sounds. That's the reason why. It's the S. So one of the things that you will notice is that arte will be el arte, but then plural, las artes. Eagle, for example, would be el águila, las águilas. Water, el agua, las aguas. But nobody that I know, let's just say if it's agua fresca, just agua, nobody that I know will say que rica, nobody will say que rico el agua. People will say que rica el agua. Interesting. You went to school for that one, but not this one. I'm kidding, but those are some of the things to keep in mind. Well, this being said, let's go ahead and recap. So arte came into the Spanish language according to Corominas in 1140. It comes from artis, where the ending simply lowers, so there's a vocalic lowering right over here. A lot of people in the realm of arts will use masculine forms for a feminine noun for some reason that I cannot explain. I cannot find a logical explanation. I will continue using all the feminine forms so they all agree grammatically until somebody explains this to me in a logical way that makes sense. This being said, thank you so much, and I'll catch you in the next one.